You better believe it. It is the Believe in Bears podcast, along with 9-year veteran NFL tight end Clay Harbor. I am Marshall Harris, here to try, and I do mean the word try, to guide you through what has to be the most painful loss of the Matt Eberflus era. The Bears falling 18-15 on a Hail Mary. Prayers answered for Jayden. Oh, my goodness. Jayden Daniels and the Commanders, not so much for Matt Eberflus, Caleb Williams, and the Bears. Clay, I don't know where to start. Luckily, we have it pre-built in how we start these shows. It's time to talk about our truth be told. Clay, hit me with yours. What is your truth be told after watching the Bears go to 4-3 when they could have easily been 5-2?
Truth be told, as hard as this loss was, the Bears deserved to lose this one. And I'm not talking about because of the players. I'm talking about because of some of the inexplicable play calls down the stretch with the offense and how slow they were to get going. You can't expect to win a game with 33 passing yards in the first half. You can't expect to win a game when you realistically think handing your backup center a ball at the goal line on third down is a good play call. There's just so many things you could go back through over the game and just say winning teams don't do that. So truth be told, you're right. It's one of the most heartbreaking losses, Matt Eberflus era. But truth be told, they didn't deserve this one as hard as it is.
Okay, I'm with you. They did not deserve to win this game. And the entire time I'm watching the game and the Bears are down and the Bears haven't scored and it's late in the third quarter, I'm like, the Bears don't deserve to win this game. I was like, this game is winnable even still because all it takes is a couple of good drives, a couple of touchdowns, and some defensive stands, and they'll be able to walk away with a road win. But at no point did I say, man, the Bears really, they're in this and they deserve to win it. That's not the case. For all the reasons that you mentioned, plus, you had 2 weeks to get ready for this game, Clay. It's coming off the bye week. I can't remember a time when I've seen what appears to be a more ill-prepared team coming off a bye week. We talked about how the Bears had cleaned things up from a penalty perspective. We saw pre-snap penalties. We saw after the whistle penalties. We saw an undisciplined football team epitomized by what's going to be my truth be told, the play of one Tyrique Stevenson. Truth be told, Clay, Tyrique Stevenson needs to be benched. If only for one game, if only for one half, if only for, you got to figure out a way to discipline him and explain to him that this is serious stuff. This is you doing your job. The video, I know you've seen it, Clay, of Tyrique Stevenson on the last play of the game, not knowing the play had started until Bears fans in the stands alerted him by pointing out, hey, turn around, they're playing football behind you. That is wild, Clay. That is wild. Throw in a 15-yard penalty earlier, which could have killed the Bears, and you see what I'm talking about, right? Yes, he had some good moments in this game. He led the team in tackles. He had a pass breakup in the end zone on what would have been a Zach Ertz touchdown, therefore not allowing a touchdown until the final play. But he did get burned for the biggest pass play of the game, a touchdown from Jayden Daniels. And also, he was the one who was late to get in on that play. I don't know what the responsibilities, and we'll go over this in a moment. I don't know what the responsibilities were for each individual on the Hail Mary defense. I just know that at the end of the day, it was Tyrique Stevenson whose hand tipped the ball and Noah Brown was able to bring it in for the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, we do know. We know Kevin Byard said after the game that he was the jumper. So if Kevin Byard's a jumper, then it's logical to try to say that Tyrique Stevenson was the guy that was supposed to be boxing out the back defender there, the back offensive player there. And not only, the one thing you're forgetting about Tyrique Stevenson, he also gave up a 15-yard penalty by trying to poke the offensive lineman.
Oh, no, that's what I was talking about. He had the 15-yard penalty as well.
Okay, yeah, but I wouldn't bench him. I would fine him and suspend him for conduct detrimental to the team.
Can you do that?
Yes, you ain't jawing to the fans when the game's going on. I'm sending a message. If you want to play on this team, you got to be focused. We don't take that. I know you're sorry. You posted your Twitter. No. Okay, we're sending a message. If you want to play on this team, you got to be locked in and you got to be ready to go. But for me, in that situation, as bad as Tyrique Stevenson is, Matt Eberflus is worse. Why do you
Okay,
got?
let's talk
Why?
about it. Let's get right into it.
Yeah. Why? Okay. Why do you have? After the game, they ask him, "What is T.J. Edwards doing on that play? It looks like he's spying the quarterback." Which is what when I saw that, I go, "Why do you have a player spying? You afraid Jayden Daniels going to run 60 yards and score a touchdown?"
There
No.
were two. There were
He's
two
like, "No,
seconds left in the
he
game.
was man to man on the running back. He's man to man. You got a man playing man to man on the running back on the last play. Rush 5, rush 6, make him speed up his operation. Don't let him sit back there for 12 seconds. Call a timeout. What are you taking 3 timeouts in the next week for? They don't let you accumulate timeouts for next week. We ain't going to have 6 in the first half next week. Call a timeout, draw everything up, make sure everybody's on the same page, and you walk out this thing with a win.
Yes, that's my big thing with Matt Eberflus. Okay, so we went into this game and I told you Matt Eberflus had more to prove than Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a rookie finding his way. That's fine. Matt Eberflus is in year 3 as a head coach and doesn't have a high quality win to his name. 3-16 up, make that 3-17 now on the road. Make that 2-19 up, 2-20 when trailing heading into the fourth quarter. He had a chance to add to both of those and get a positive review of this game because no matter what happens, at the end of the day, results-driven business. He is a player's coach. The players believe in him. The defense plays hard for Matt Eberflus. But guess what? You're not a defensive coordinator anymore. You are a head coach. The responsibility of every win and every loss ultimately is under your purview, and you got to start acting like it. And you know what? The appropriate shot post-game was Matt Eberflus looking dumbfounded on the sidelines. Like, what just happened? As you said, and my point was this, you've got 3 timeouts. This is easily the most important play of the game. And it was the way that the Commanders just kind of did what they wanted on the previous 2 plays, advancing the ball down the field to get into better position for a Hail Mary pass. All right, clearly we look a little lax out there right now. Let's go ahead, call the timeout, make sure everyone knows their assignment, what they have to do. I don't think the Tyrique Stevenson thing could even happen if they're coming out of a timeout because now everybody's super locked in. The game is not over. You can't play for 59 minutes and 58 seconds and then wonder what went wrong when you lose on the final play of the game. Just an abomination of a game. But back to your original truth be told, they did not deserve to win, Clay. So let's get into the offense. But before we do all of that, got to take time to recognize our sponsors for this one. I don't know if you know, Clay, it's not just football season anymore. We got a sports equinox coming on Monday Night Football. Basketball fans, it's that time of year again. We've got basketball, World Series, hockey. Also, yes, we have the NFL. It's a sports equinox. All 4 of the major pro sports leagues playing on the same day. The NBA is back from opening tip-off to buzzer beaters. Bet Online has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. This season, every game matters. Bet Online has every stat, matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. And it's not just the NBA. Bet Online has odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, the aforementioned NHL. They've even got political props, Clay. Hey, head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online. The game starts here. The analysis, we're just getting started. All right, the offense, Clay. Well, first half. You had 2 weeks to get ready. Shane Waldron, what are you doing, Clay? What are you doing? Help me understand what the game plan was because I didn't understand watching the first half of this game.
No, it was one of the worst starts, and especially coming out of a bye week. You got time to plan, prep, really watch this Commanders defense and attack them at their weaknesses. And Shane Waldron didn't do any of that. And in the play call, I don't know why it's so hard for them to get this thing rolling. I really want to look at the statistics. I mean, I know you want to get DeAndre Swift the ball, but the amount of times that they run on first down versus pass has to be very, very high. I mean, you want to be about 50-50 there to keep the defense off balance. But just getting ahead of the chains early, third downs in the game early, and Caleb didn't start the game well, right? Caleb showed a lot of positive things, but start to the game, man, he was missing guys. He was straight up missing back shoulders, missing crossing routes, missing guys over the middle. So he needs to figure out how to start better too. But like you said, Shane Waldron, you got all this time to come up with a better game plan. Why didn't you come out with a better game plan from Jump Street?
So watching the first half, here's something that I've noticed. Shane Waldron has usually done a better job in the second half of games once they get their act together, even in the games that they lost earlier in the season. What did you think about the halftime adjustments, or did you notice any to make a big – was it just as simple as Caleb Williams played better? Because I'll tell you this, Caleb Williams did not look good. He was outplayed by Jayden Daniels. You're looking – and one guy was going up against a tougher defense than the other, and Jayden Daniels did his thing. Did they get into the end zone until the Hail Mary play? No, but he was moving the ball up and down the field and taking advantage. I mean, he had over 300 yards passing. I know a lot of that came on the final play of the game. But it looks to me like Caleb Williams was able to course correct on his own at the end of the third quarter when the offense finally started going, and they did just enough. Again, you don't need to do a whole lot when you're only giving up 12 points through 59 minutes and 58 seconds. Caleb Williams did show on a handful of plays why he was the number one overall pick in the draft.
Yeah, he did, but I mean, he's got to be better, and obviously he's a rookie, and there's a ton of reasons. I mean, the protection. We could talk about Kieran Amagaji. Why are you not?
Yeah, I didn't understand some of the decisions with the personnel. What did you make of the injuries, and then what they decided to do after offensive linemen started going down?
Well, first off, you have Larry Borum practicing full on Thursday and Friday, so that leads me to believe that he should be able to play. Maybe not. If you don't think so, then maybe. I mean, we don't like Nate Davis, but Nate Davis, Matt Pryor could move out to tackle. But having Larry or Kieran Amagaji as your backup tackle without a plan for that when it happens. This guy was hurt throughout all training camp, Marshall. I was at a lot of training camp practices. He didn't play. He's never played in a competitive series in practice. It's all been in season. In season, you know what you do? Scout team. You go against other teams. Look, you might have one or two competitive periods against a defense to keep the energy up. Some coaches do that. But still, that's not the same intensity level as training camp, preseason, or even a regular season game, obviously. For me, you gotta place Cole Kmet right next to his side. You got to place Mercedes Lewis next to his side. You got to make sure you're chipping with the running back. And one of the sacks, he even did get beat with the running back with the chip help. But he's going the wrong way in zone. He's missing blocks, and he's a rookie from Yale, so obviously you got to give him time, and you expect some of that to happen. But it was tough sledding. I didn't like the personnel decisions, and now that leads us to next week to where they got to make some. How injured is Tevin? What's up with Bill Murray? Nate Davis is probably going to be active. Larry Borum's got to be back, so that's interesting.
I think Larry Borum didn't play because I don't think he was fully ready, like in game shape condition. I think that was the biggest thing. As you said, it's not like they're going that intense in practice. So even though we practice in full, it doesn't mean the same as practicing full when you're talking about training camp and everything else. I mean, we're in mid-season. Everybody's banged up, nicked up at the least, right? So I think Larry Borum won't be active.
What was Borum's injury that kept him out?
I'm trying to remember that because when you said it, I was like, what? Because that's how long he's been out. Is trying to remember what his injury is kind of part of the issue. Let me look real quick. For Borum,
he's not a high level tackle, but he's a veteran. He's got a lot of experience.
He's got experience, unlike Kieran Amagaji, as you mentioned. I think the biggest thing is trial by fire is like an idea. But when you're talking about offensive linemen and protecting your quarterback and being able to establish things, it was an ankle injury that he suffered. Then that's a completely different thing altogether that we're talking about, right? The offensive line is so crucial. And we saw it. We saw it play out. Even though Caleb struggled, it's not like that man wasn't running for his life the entire game also.
Yeah, he did. He also did a good job extending plays. Some of those plays he extended, he still missed. But you're seeing some of the special things there translate. Early in the season, I'm like, I don't know if he's going to be able to do some of the things that we loved about him in college, because it's a different game. Speed's different. But you can definitely tell that he's getting used to the speed and he's understanding it. Obviously, he got taken out of that field goal range with that
Yeah,
big sack.
that was a bad play. That can't happen, Clay. That cannot
No,
happen.
absolutely not. That's a huge loss. And on the post game presser, he obviously acknowledged it. He's like, I can't do that, and made a point to say that was a bad play on his part. But you are seeing a lot of things translate, and you want a quarterback that can go down the field and win the game when the game is on the line, and that's what he showed. So there are some positives here too.
So the offense still a work in progress. Caleb Williams, obviously a quarterback who is a rookie, much more of a work in progress than Jayden Daniels is. We can say that I think the offensive rookie of the year race is clearly Jayden Daniels to lose at this point. Fair?
Yeah. After this, it's Jayden Daniels is winning the rookie of the year, just especially with that. Hail Mary, and there's like this aura growing of this guy right now. He's in the driver's seat, and he deserves it right now. The guy's really hard to stop. It didn't look like the ribs affected him at all. I don't know what they gave him, but I'll take some too for my back. But
that's just because you're an old. It's fine.
Yeah. I want your thoughts on DeAndre Swift, man, as we're talking about the offense. What's your thoughts
DeAndre
on
Swift? He was the best offensive player on the field on Sunday, and it's not close. And when he hurdled the one guy, you see guys try to hurdle or do hurdle and they kind of slip and fall afterwards. He hurdled and came down on 2 feet and was still going, and then trying to drag a pile. That epitomized what it was. And even on the play where he scored the touchdown, I thought he was going to get knocked out of bounds. He's like, nah, we need this too bad. And he's able to tiptoe down the line and keep full speed without losing his balance to get the touchdown. DeAndre Swift, not a factor in the passing game in that he didn't have any catches, but what he did, fourth straight game with 100 yards plus and a touchdown. He has become a staple for the Bears offense. And right now, judging by how they played in this game where they didn't have much offense, they need everything that they can to be a constant. He has been the one constant since they kind of got things taken care of early. Even though the offensive play line was great, he was like, I don't care about y'all. I'm going to do what I do. And I can't wait to see his EPA, his expected yards, because he definitely shouldn't have ended up with the yardage total that he did.
Yeah, he's playing these last 4 games like top 5 running back. Top 5 playmaker in the NFL. I don't know, man. He's doing some things that we thought he would do when he was that first signing in free agency that we hoped. When I watched a lot of these Eagles games last year, I go, man, I'd really like to see this guy in the Bears. And that was honestly on my wish list. And early in the season, I'm like, man, maybe it really was the Eagles offensive line that was getting him these open holes. Because, Marshall, you remember just a month ago, we're talking about this guy's going down easy. He's juking too much. He's like that guy in the basketball court at the YMCA that's just dribbling the whole time.
Yeah, mad dribbles, mad handles, hasn't moved fast. He's still standing outside the 3-point line, but going nowhere.
Anywhere. You're just dribbling. Like, make a move. So he's really improved. He's transitioned his game to another level where he does have those moves, but he's getting vertical. He's breaking tackles. He's jumping over people. He's running around people. He's even running through some people, and that ain't his forte. So, yeah, DeAndre Swift, I know we got the bucket melon hats, but if I was wearing one right now, it would be off to you, sir.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tip it for you, Clay. We'll tip of the cap, because I do have the melon hat. These things are great. One of our sponsors here on Believe in Bears, excuse me. They're very durable, built to last 5 times longer than any other hat. And I can tell you, this one's still in perfect condition. They bounce back really quick. Natural microbial properties, so sweat doesn't break down the hat. No sweat stains, no smell. Built for the water. They don't lose shape if you take them in the water. Also, they float if dropped in the water. If you need to wash, they come right back to life, and they come and they look brand new, comfortable and fit. We're doing our thing, and it's been a very interesting situation to watch these hats, much like the Bears. Just when you think they're down and out, they're good, and then if they're not, they are. So the sizing's good. We got snapbacks. That's what I have. But they also offer the small, the classic, or the XL to fit every size head. You can get the Fit Finder on their site to break down whatever you want. And for your example, and so, yeah, the hat is big. And the melon, we're happy to have them as a sponsor so far. So, it's a good thing for now. that we've got the hats going. And now we're joined apparently by Gabe Ramirez, who decided to wake up and talk Bears with us. I understand, Gabe. I'm surprised. I was like, maybe Gabe's dead. Maybe he saw the end of the game and he's dead. Maybe that's what happened.
That's what B. Marshall thought happened to Gabe, man. After the end of that game, he said, Gabe, he couldn't take it anymore. All the time he was watching the Bears, he just couldn't do it.
I've just stopped crying about 15 minutes ago, guys. I was crying all night long. It was painful to watch. I'm sure, like most of you guys, I know you guys have been in on the pod for a second right now, but like most people, it was just utter shock, right? Like you're watching the game. My mom comes downstairs. I went to my mom's house. She comes downstairs. Me, my dad, and my brother were literally at the edge of our seats. There's what is it, 12 seconds left. And we're still at the edge of the seats. And my mom's like, oh my God, they came back. They won, because she was upstairs the whole time. They came back, they won. And my dad looks at her and he goes, not yet. And I thought in my head, why would he say that? And then all of a sudden, you see the pass. First of all, I was so upset at the fact that they allowed them to just pass it comfortably to the 50-yard line. I was telling my brother, I said, they're on the 30. Why are they going back to the end zone? He can't launch that far. Stop them from even getting that little short pass at least. And then on the last play with the 3 pass rushers, I didn't like that either. I felt make him a little uncomfortable. Pass the 4. An extra guy in the back is not going to make that big of a difference. You want to let him throw the ball quicker. And then you saw him just have tons of time, take his time. And then it fell short. It fell short of the goal line. That's the part that bothers you the most. You're like, dude, you did everything right. And then Kevin Byard obviously looks back and realizes that was his man right behind them.
Oh, no, that wasn't his man. He was the jumper. He was up to tip. He was where he was supposed to be.
Kevin Byard said he was the jumper post-game.
So somebody else was supposed to be back? We don't know. Tyrique Stevenson was out here conversing with the crowd as the play started. Gabe, here's the best part about this when it comes to Tyrique, right? They're lucky that Jayden took so long to scramble. On a normal Hail Mary play, Tyrique Stevenson wouldn't have even been in position because they were down to the 20-yard line when he finally turned around and realized a play was going on.
Yeah, and that was ridiculous as well. Tyrique Stevenson obviously had himself a day. But yeah, that whole thing, I mean, even prior to the last play, you saw Jalen Johnson talking with Coach Flus, and there was that little, it looked like a tiff where Jalen was trying to say that they should do something, and Flus was looking at him just like he's like, what? No, rocket. And he goes like this, rocket. That was the last play that they called. And I was curious I wonder if anybody asked him in the post game, what was that interaction like? Because what were they actually discussing, and what were the differences and decisions there?
Well, they could have discussed a lot of things if they'd used one of their 3 timeouts they had to make sure everything was set up exactly how they wanted it, but they refused to do that. We talked a little bit about the offense. We're on to the defense now, Gabe. Okay. And defensively, Matt Eberflus is a good defensive coordinator. No one's arguing that. He had the defense ready to play. They held Jayden Daniels and the highest scoring offense in the NFL. They came into the day tied with the Ravens for the highest scoring offense, scoring over 30 points a game, to 18 points. 13 straight games, less than 21 points.
Yeah, and that's obviously you take away the Hail Mary at the very end, which I wish we could.
But we don't. It was 18 points.
We don't. 18 points still held them on the 21. But what a job, right? It seemed like every time the Commanders came down the field and got past the 50-yard line, you were like, oh, damn, here we go. This is an important third down, or this is an important third down. And then Bears defense just continued to step up playing. And obviously, they were the beneficiary of some drop passes from the Commanders, but no team's going to play perfect football, right? Those happen throughout the course of a football game, but it was really cool. The bend don't break mentality for the Chicago Bears is real. And whatever they do when they get in the goal zone is unreal. And the fact that they didn't allow a touchdown yesterday, I don't know if it was the inexperience of the Washington Commanders, but that defense just looked so stout, stopping them time and time again. It was unreal.
I was surprised. There was one play. I'm trying to remember who the receiver was, but Jayden Daniels on a third down, he literally went at Jalen Johnson. I was like, why are you throwing it in that man's direction?
Down the middle.
Yes, yeah. I was like, why are you throwing in that man's direction? Do you want to throw an interception? Oh, good luck with that. Now he sailed it, so it didn't really matter because it was high for his receiver. So obviously Johnson couldn't get to it. But hey, Jalen Johnson just wants some shine. That's one way to get some shine.
When you guys are talking about like Blackwell, Elijah Hicks and the job that they did a good job. But you could still see moments where if Jaquan Brisker was there, maybe a tight end wouldn't have gotten I think it was Zach Ertz one was like totally boxed out the guy,
Zach Ertz didn't work. Zach Ertz turned back the hands of time and was giving you that prime Zach Ertz work.
Yeah. It was interesting though, man. It was interesting to see. I loved how chippy things got. I felt like that was really cool to watch because you could tell that they really wanted that. The Bears really wanted that game. Oh man, there's just so much stuff. I mean, with that game, Caleb Williams being excited after getting that second touchdown, getting the 2-point conversion, and I'm a firm believer that when people get too hyped up, it lets out too much of the energy that you need not like energy like that you need to play the game, but just the emotional energy. You see that happen a lot of times when teams take leads.
One thing I did want to ask you guys about the decision by Shane Waldron. He had a lot of decisions that were questionable. They unlocked the mini fridge and they said, here, have the ball when you're down, not when you're up, but when you're down. What did you think about that decision? We'll start with you, Clay. What did you think about that decision to give the ball to Doug Kramer for the first time in that situation?
I mean, I'm not frozen. I'm still shocked that he made that call. So it was honestly at that moment, I'm like, you got to have somebody else calling plays. Firstly, let's think about this. Doug Kramer's your backup center. He hasn't played all game. Imagine being cold and just coming in that game, that part of the game, and getting the ball right away.
And you're not a running back.
You're not a running back. This isn't something you're doing in middle school, high school, college, year in and year out, day in and day out in training camp. You're coming in cold. It's hard to come in cold sometimes. Your first play of the game, if I'm a tight end, I'm coming in cold in the fourth quarter, and I'm getting my play called. I'm like, dang, man, I ain't been doing nothing. You don't feel like you're in the flow of the game. That's hard. You want to get some special teams plays. You want to get some blocking plays. And then, whatever, right? We're at the beginning of the game. You're coming in. This guy doesn't take handoffs ever. He's got about 10 arm sleeves on. And you're handing this guy the ball on third down and goal. Your backup center. If you're going to get him involved, pass the ball. Because if he drops it, guess what? It's an incomplete pass.
Yeah,
it's an incomplete pass. Get a fake power to the flat, or the offensive lineman. Don't hand the ball. How many teams you see handing the ball to offensive? No one. You're not that smart, bro. You're not. Oh, I just came up with the idea. No one's thought of it. Yes, people have thought of it, but they don't.
And they passed on the idea.
Carry the football.
I was watching that play, and I tweeted out immediately. I said, Shane Waldron's treating this game like it's Instagram. He's doing it for the likes. He's giving it to Doug Kramer because he's like, bro, I'm going to be all over social media tomorrow with this play that I drew up. It was painful to watch. This man got 2 baby walruses as arms, and he's out here trying to catch up.
Not 2 baby walruses. Not 2 baby walruses.
It's like,
he's
dude,
got elbow pads all the way up his arm. He don't feel the football.
When I think about it, imagine if you're Roshan Johnson. Imagine if you're DeAndre Swift. You're just like, bro, I get it, but I don't get it.
Kari Blossom game watching at the house. Oh, they cut me for this?
Yeah, right. I would have made that for sure. It was bad, man. But hey, shout out to the Bears, still bouncing back, right? Defense, stop.
And that's the thing. Even after that happened, even after they fumble, right, and he's ruled down, I was like, oh, this is the thing. I bet to a man, every Bears fan was like, oh, well, the defense is going to get a stop. They're going to get another chance. There's plenty of time, right? Yeah. And Clay, isn't that the whole point? Like, you're looking at a team that's so good on defense that here's the constants we have. Going into this game against the Cardinals, here are the constants we know. Bears defense, DeAndre Swift. Everything else?
Man, Shane Waldron, bro, I know he's had a couple of good games, but
against bad competition, I don't care. I don't care, Clay. I don't care.
You had a whole week to prepare for this, to come up with some plays, to do a self-scout. You come off a bye week. You want to be rolling. You want to come up with something. Same slow start. 33 passing yards in the first half. 33 passing yards in the first. Like, what are you drawing up here? I got to watch all 22. Was Caleb just missing guys? Was nobody getting open? Obviously, he was under pressure. But what is going on here? This is an NFL football team. You practice all week. You get 30. Come out and get 33 yards in the first half passing.
Clay, talk to me about this, man. Because it's one thing for you to sound this adamant right now. It's one thing for us to be passionate. Do we overstate things like that when we say that the players feel the same way? Like, are the players more understanding in a situation like that, or are they equally as upset?
Yeah,
at
you
Shane
were on some
Waldron?
bad teams, Clay, with some bad
There was-
results down in Jacksonville.
There's some conversations happening in that locker room with players. I was the Bears offense, but we didn't have a defense like that. We had the same offense and the same defense, right? Shane Waldron is my old offense, okay? But he has the defense to at least keep him in these games. But there's conversations happening in the locker room. What are we doing on this play? There's conversations happening. I got to watch all 22, but why are we drawing up these plays? Why are we running the ball every single first down, and then we're behind the chains early in the game? There's so many things that are you can just as a player that these guys are going to be having conversations about on the side, and that's what you don't want. Obviously, they believe in each other, in Caleb and the defense, so that's a positive thing. But I think there might be a point soon to where, at least offensively, you might start losing this offensive coordinator.
Like who's reprimanding Shane Waldron? I guess that's my question, right? Is it a Ryan Poles? Is it a Eberflus? Is it players?
The head coach is reprimanding him. That's
Coach,
he signed off on the Doug Kramer play. He said so in his press conference.
He signed off on this entire game plan. So for me, this game plan was trash. And as much as you want to blame Shane Waldron, he's just the vice president. He ain't the president. The president's got veto power. No, draw up something else. We're doing this. No, I want to come out doing this. When you're on the headset and you hear him, all right, we're going to hand the ball to our backup center who hasn't taken a snap all day. It's got 7 wristbands on, a couple elbow pads on. No, you go, no, Shane, just run the power. Okay, we're going to do 96 power instead on 2. That's simple. You can veto him like it's that quick. You're on the headset. He let all that stuff fly.
Listen, I'm going on 670 The Score, and you already know it's evisceration time when it comes to Matty Eberflus and this coaching staff. It is evisceration time. Let's be honest. Because here's the thing. We get on this pod every week, and we agree about some stuff. We disagree about other stuff. We ain't disagreed about nothing this entire podcast. That's very telling. Clay, is it not telling? Knowing us.
It's telling, and it's going to be evisceration time. I was thinking about trying to go with a positive spin today.
There are positives. You know what? I'm glad you said that.
There are positives, and let's get to those.
Let's talk about them right now because we're running out of time.
All right, let's finish this on a high note.
No, but the negative. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought though on the negative.
Yeah, we still want to talk about negatives.
We already covered them. We covered the Shane Waldron doing to start the football game. First thing for me, what are you doing? 33 passing yards, right? Down the stretch. You're going to run 2 quarterback runs, trying to get your quarterback hurt, terrible play calls, and then at the goal line, and okay, this one doesn't count because it was supposedly a run, but you're throwing the goal line fade. Listen to me. If you run that football, and even if you get stopped, you're going to take 6, 7. You want time to come off the clock.
Yeah.
Good coaches think about this. They plan that. If we do guess how much time was left on the clock when they completed that Hail Mary?
2
seconds.
2
if
seconds.
you run the ball, you get stopped. Run the ball or start throwing an incomplete pass. Clock runs down. You have 3 timeouts. Okay, we can call timeout at 15 seconds. We still got our 2 tries here. Do that. Have that in your mind. The good coaches think about everything.
Yeah, I hate
Strong take right there, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Which is why I told y'all this game more important to Matty Eberflus than to Caleb Williams ever. It never was close, and the fruit has come out, been born from the tree. It is spoiled fruit. It is strange fruit. It is fruit y'all don't want to eat. It's fruit you don't want to smell. It's rotten. Everything from this game is rotten. But let's be positive, Gabe. What was your biggest positive takeaway from this game?
I love the fact that Caleb Williams was able to come down and put points on the board at the very end of the game, right? Far too often we watch football games that come down to that last possession, and Bears are far too often they were yesterday, and they're far too often on the opposite side of that with the inability to put up points. And so the fact that you can do it, right? And we're talking about growth and what this team needs in the future. The expectation is that the Bears will be better moving forward, not just in this year, but years to come with this team. And knowing that you have a quarterback that can get things done in the last minute or two, despite having a bad game, that he can put points on the board to get you that victory or put you in a position to win, that to me was telling. And it was, although the Bears deserved to lose that game, It would have been cool to watch that team walk away and win despite all of that. But certainly a positive knowing that you have a quarterback that is capable of coming down the field and putting points on the board.
Clay?
DeAndre Swift, man. I think that's the guy's showing he is a playmaker, and it's not fluky. It's not one game. It's not 2 games. It's not 3 games. 4. He's about 4 or 5 games into this thing now, where he's just having big games. He's showing he can make people miss. He can obviously play in the pass game, even though he didn't do it yesterday. But he's just becoming a weapon, and that's going to be big down the stretch. Having a run game, having a player like that, one of the best playmakers in the league right now, is what he's shown these past few games. And he's going to be big for Caleb to lean on. So I think DeAndre Swift is my biggest positive takeaway.
For me, it's simple. The Bears went up against the best offense, or one of the best offenses, however you want to qualify it, in the NFL, and they showed they are clearly a top 5 defense. They're one of the best defenses. The last play notwithstanding, I know all the plays count, but you have to look at what happened for 59 minutes and 58 seconds. And the Bears proved that this defense, it travels. And we've seen it now a couple of times, the game against the Colts, the game against Houston, and now the game against the Commanders. They are legit, and they're going to get an even tougher test next week. Now, all of a sudden, an Arizona Cardinals team that seems to have found itself a little bit. Marvin Harrison Jr. is balling out. You've got a dual-threat quarterback in the truest sense of the word. Maybe
James Conner.
James Conner, a big running back game. You have another chance to prove yourself, and that's the beautiful thing about this, is that it is a process. And yes, we wish that the 7-10 Bears from last season were 5-2 and in a better place and showing more development. But I think even the losses, the setbacks, can be learning moments for everyone involved, and that includes Matt Eberflus. Now, if they lose this next game, we're having a completely different conversation, because now you're back to 4-4. You're probably too far out of the playoff race to feel good about going into the back half of the season, especially with the way the Patriots, their next opponent after the Cardinals, just dealt with the Jets. You got to do it now. Time is a wasting. This is one of those games you look back at the end of the season and say, hey, tiebreakers exist. If the Eagles win the NFC East and the Commanders finish in second, and that's the team you're battling, guess what? You lose the tiebreaker. So that's why these games matter. And it's interesting. The Cardinals, they're not far out of first place either in the NFC West. So all these teams that they're facing are playing for something. It's not just the Bears. We knew the Commanders were playing for something as well. They still have a half-game lead in their division. Before the Bears face 6 division teams in their last 8 games, they have to have a winning record, or else playoff chances are over. Not saying Caleb Williams' development isn't over, but it seems like a wasted year on a defense that was one of the best in the NFL and probably will continue to be so when they get their starters back in the secondary.
Yeah, and hopefully this Bears team can continue to pile up some victories before it gets to that point, because as we saw this weekend, right, Detroit Lions putting up a ton of points. The Green Bay Packers without Jordan Love still going back to the well, running with Josh Jacobs and finding a way to pull out that victory. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this thing piles up, but hopefully, like you said, you can continue to have continued development from Caleb Williams, and this team can come together and put some of those dubs together in the win column.
Clay, I'll let you have the final word on this disappointing Bears loss, the most disappointing of the season, and perhaps the most disappointing of the Matt Eberflus era, all things given.
As disappointing as it was, you got to remember the Bears trailed for 59 minutes and 35 seconds of this game, and they didn't do enough to secure the victory. That's what it comes down to. Obviously, it's heartbreaking, but they just didn't. They didn't play as good as they needed to. And there were some positive things. We talked about them: Swift, the defense, and the quarterback. I know obviously you want to have a more efficient offense early in the football game. You want to be able to situationally be a lot better of a football team and be able to trust your coaches in these situations, because these situations always come down to the nitty gritty and how prepared you are. And the Bears obviously weren't as prepared as the Commanders in these situations. So, all you can do from here is go up. And like you said, I was always comforted by, after games like this as a player, is we going to be playing next week. We're going to be on that field next week. I had a bad practice. Guess what? We have practice tomorrow. Training camp. You have a bad day in training. We have camp tomorrow. I'm going to come back and I'm going to get better. And I think the Bears will do that. Obviously, tough team. You guys talked about a couple players, but National Tight Ends Day was yesterday. Trey McBride, like 10, 11 catches. This dude's a beast, too. They got a lot of weapons over there in Arizona. So it's going to be interesting, but I think the Bears can do it, get back on track.
All right, that is Clay Harbor. You can follow him on social media, Instagram. He really loves his Instagram. Or on the Twitter, Clay Harbs82. We've got Gabe Ramirez. You can follow him at Chicago_Gabe on those platforms as well. I'm Marshall Harris. You can follow me at M Harris on air. You can watch Clay Harbor on, what is it, the Big Pro Football Show? Is that what it is?
Interesting name. Yeah.
You catch Gabe Ramirez all over the place on in real life because he be in them streets hosting events, also on 670 The Score, known for his B96 fame. And you can catch me every day, 10 to 2, 670 The Score. Bernstein and Harris, a little Layla Rahimi mixed in on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Hey, until next time, we'll get you ready for the Cardinals. This has been Believe in Bears. I'll holler at you dudes later.
Peace.